You guys won't believe what the Chiefs defensive coordinator Steve Spagnuolo had to say. We got Dalton Wasserman from PFF here today to talk about it. Let's do it. Chiefs Kingdom ACU crew, how we doing tonight, ladies and gentlemen? It's going to be a fun one. Fun little topic tonight, right?
It's going to be a great time. Dalton Wasserman. Steve, you said the name wrong. We just discussed it.
I wasn't listening. I'm sorry.
You don't
My
listen
apologies.
to nobody, okay? Steve,
I'm still happy he's here. I'm still happy he's here.
We're all happy he's here, man. Dalton, welcome to the show, brother. Dalton works at PFF, an analyst. Tell us what you do over there, man.
A little bit of everything. I cover NFL. I'm on the PFF NFL show on YouTube. Cover college football as well, the PFF college football show. I've done the grading and all that stuff behind the scenes in the past. So it's been really for the last, 5? I'm in my 6th season now. A little bit of everything for, on all sides of the company.
Awesome, man. We appreciate you being here. I'm sure everybody's going to have some questions. The whole show tonight, not the whole show, but we'll get right to it. The big thing is every year somebody likes to come out and just crap all over PFF. And a lot of fans don't like it. And a lot of Chief fans particularly do not like PFF. If we share PFF or whatever, it's quick to get the same, they've been bought. We've heard that. I think maybe even Kelsey insinuated that on an episode of New Heights.
Yeah.
That maybe agents can pay you guys. And I'm thinking that's a little wild. That's an accusation. You can discuss that in a minute if you want to. But it always comes out that there's a problem with PFF. And I think a lot of people don't understand the grading. They don't understand that 60 is average, which you can get into that in just a little bit too. But I'm going to play the clip that set everybody on fire this week, and we'll let you respond to it, and we'll just go from there and we'll have a discussion. Here we go.
What grades are you using?
PFF is what I'm looking at right now.
That's what everybody uses. The only thing, Chris Collinsworth, I think he's a good dude, and he's involved in that company. I don't know how you put a grade on somebody when you don't know actually what their assignment was or what they were being told. So, I don't know. It's like, from our standpoint, I thought Chris in this particular game had a real big effect on the game. They obviously found ways to double him, whether it was two linemen, the running back at times was chipping inside, which you don't see a lot, because that was the Chris Jones effect. A number of times that he didn't get there, but I think he forced a quick throw or step up. So, from our standpoint, I don't remember what Chris's actual grade was, but I know that at the end of the game, I thought the guys up front, Chris included, had a big effect on the way things went.
You mentioned PFF and they don't know the plays. If I'm not mistaken, it was Mike Zimmer a couple years ago when he coached the Vikings, made that same point. How much stock do coaches, when they're looking at PFF, put the stock in that?
Well, I will say this. There's a lot of stuff that PFF puts out that's valuable and useful. My only thing, I think a lot of coaches feel the same way. Chris and I have talked about it. We've laughed about it. And I think their guys do a really good job. And they can be, but I just think there's a margin of error when you don't know exactly what the player was told. It may look like he's...
We don't have to watch the rest of it. But basically he's saying that it's hard for you guys to get a good grade on players when you don't know the plays. Can you please explain that process to everybody?
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to lead this off with saying, honestly, Coach Spags said absolutely nothing wrong there. I completely respect that opinion. And look, he's going to grade his own players the way that he should. That's why he makes so much money. That's why he's maybe the best defensive coordinator of all time, right? So I don't think he said anything wrong there. And my best answer is, look, we go over these things 2 and 3 times over, right? We do the grading live as the game is happening. And when we get the all 22 in for every game, NFL and college, we have our reviewers, and I was on that side for the passing game a little bit towards the end before I moved over to content. We go over it 2 and 3 times over, and we have a lot of discussions about different plays and players' responsibilities on it. So it's not like these things just get one pass through for us and we go, okay, that's it. We're done looking at it. We get it from both angles, from the sideline, from the end zone, all of that stuff. But I mean, the answer is, look, we do the best we absolutely can, right? When it comes to interpreting their assignments and the entire defense defense, the entire offense, and what everybody is supposed to be doing, right? So, there's a lot of discussion had behind the scenes. We have former coaches, former players on our staff that go over these things. And look, we've got even NFL coaches that used to work for us, right? NFL coaches, college coaches that used to work for us and go over these things as well. So there is a system for us put in place to interpret these things, but it's never going to be absolutely perfect. And to think that you're going to be absolutely perfect when you're not, like Coach Spags there said, when you're not within the organization and running things and calling the plays, yeah, it's not going to be 100%, but we do the absolute best we can to get as much of the responsibility of the players in there as possible in that context. And look, football is never going to be like baseball, where it's individual events, right, that you can evaluate. Is so much context, it's so much, just dependent variables that are dependent on the other 11 guys on your team and then the 11 guys on the other side, right? That kind of make this a big interpretation of everything that's going on. So no, I don't think he said anything wrong there, and we're never going to know everything. If you think you know everything, you don't know anything at all, right? So that's just the best part about it that I can say is we go over things 2 and 3 and 4 times over before we put these grades out and interpret it the best that we can.
Okay, man, that's a lot of good information you just threw at us. Totally appreciate you being here once again. You guys hit the like button for Dalton being here tonight, talking about this with us, because I think it's good information, because we use PFF as a tool all the time on this show. So I think it's good that everybody has a good baseline of actually how it works. And what would you say is like a baseline or a default for like when you're grading a play? Is it like the best possible outcome? So say if it's a pass rush play, 100 being sack the quarterback, and then you back it up from there. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean, it's different for every position. I can even tell you when it comes to, say, new guys coming in to be a grader, and we don't have that many. It's maybe 70. I mean, it sounds like a lot, but it's maybe 70 or 80 guys that know how to do the grading. And I was one of them for 3 years. I did the grading myself for 3 years. And every aspect of it is different when it comes to, say, pass rush and pass protection, right? Run block on one side and run defense on the other, receiving and coverage on each side of the ball. Everything is a little bit different. So, I mean, it comes down to, for us, the biggest things are winning your individual matchups, right? And then obviously producing on the football, right? So, I mean, when you talk about the pass rush, and we have our pass rush grades, and there's things that, say maybe a guy who leads the league in sacks isn't necessarily the highest graded pass rusher, right? And that's the way old school it used to be. Oh, that guy has the most sacks, he's the best player. Well, not necessarily. If you have a guy that's winning the most often, winning those one-on-one matchups, and just maybe isn't quite getting home to the quarterback, or the quarterback's just getting rid of the ball before he gets there, we want to give him credit for that too. So it's certain things like that. And again, everything is about interpreting a guy's assignment at certain times. I think the run game really is something that presents itself as a challenge when it comes to that, and grading, say, offensive and defensive alignment and things like that. But a lot of it is about winning your matchup and what are you producing, on the ball, is whether you're a defensive lineman getting a sack, whether you're a cornerback getting a pass breakup, a receiver, producing, catching the football and making things happen after the catch. There's a lot of different factors that go into a lot of different positions.
Oh, okay. So let's jump on what Spags had actually mentioned. They were all talking based off Chris Jones. So I'm going to bring up what you guys have rated, and not necessarily you, so I'm just not blaming you here, but you guys have given Chris Jones an overall defensive grade. Week 1 versus the Chargers, 73.5. Week 2 versus the Eagles, a 53.6. Week 3, a 48.6. And then last week in the big win versus the Ravens, a 60.5. Now, Chris Jones, we all know, is a top 5, top 10 player in the NFL. This has been his grades throughout the past. So this is 2025. You guys have got him at a 57.8, which is below average. Average is 60. And then 90s down the board. So it looks like to me that you guys are in all your reviewing, you're saying that Chris Jones has fell far off the wagon from being a top defender on this team. And by the way, you've got him ranked on the Chiefs. You got Noel Williams, our rookie that's played limited snaps. Of course, that's probably going to be the reason. 47 total snaps. He's at a 92.3. You have Chris Jones rated the 12th ranked defender on our team at a 57.8, which is just wild to a lot of Chiefs Kingdom. And I guess that's probably what Spags is kind of getting at. And I think people probably do want to know an answer as to why you think Chris Jones has scored so low this season in comparison.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I mean, look, we know Chris Jones is a great player, and that track record gives him the benefit of the doubt here. So, listen, I'm not going to sit here and be the guy that tells you Chris Jones is over the hill. Absolutely not.
I wouldn't do it.
And no, I certainly not on this show. I'm not going to do the big number 95 gets the benefit of the doubt, right? But no,
he watches. He'll come get you.
I'm sure.
No,
Look, at the end of the day, when it comes to the overall grade, sometimes you do have to throw the context into it, and I feel like that's a lot of what my job is going. Okay, why did this guy grade so highly? Why is he maybe a slightly just bit lower than we're used to, right? Because it is a number we're used to seeing a little bit lower. But I want to throw in the split right there that you see about the pass rush grade and the run defense grade, right? That's the biggest part that plays in it. And you see in week 3 there was such a low run defense grade. I think that's really, with such a small sample of 4 games, that's what's going to drag it down just a little bit, right? And in the past, even last year, I think he was the second highest graded pass rusher, and his run defense grade was we had it in the low 60s, right? And right around that range of the low to mid 60s, is where you talk about. You mentioned our grading scale. I think in the past we haven't done the best job of explaining what the grading scale is. Is that when you talk about a 60 or grades in the low 60s, you talk about, okay, this guy's kind of doing his job as expected. He's carrying out his assignment. Maybe he's not making a huge positive impact and affecting the ball too much, but he's also not, blowing it by any means, right? Or making too many negative plays. So, I think that's what you're talking about is in total, sure, it looks like it's average, but then you look at the splits there and you go, that's 78.4 pass rush grade. That's top 12 among defensive tackles in the league right now. We know Chris Jones is an elite pass rusher, and through 4 weeks, he's still doing that. It's just that, honestly, the one bad game there is dragging down the average. That's against the Giants there in week 3. It's dragging out the average a little bit, but honestly, over the course of the full 17 games, we know we're getting out of Chris Jones, right? So sometimes people like to overreact to one game or even 4 games. Is a very, very small sample where the numbers can get tilted overall a little bit. I have no doubt about Chris Jones' ability, even though he's been in the league. What is it, 11 years now, 11 or 12 years?
A long time. I don't like to talk about it.
It's wild to think about.
Yeah. No, it is wild to think about because, I mean, he could retire tomorrow, and to me, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's one of the best D tackles to ever do it. But I don't think, as far as Chris Jones' individual grade, that there's much controversy behind this. I think the bigger thing, and it is to a point where, and again, I respect the reporter for asking Coach Spags, and I respect Coach Spags' answer is we do, I think, need to do a more consistent job of explaining where things on the grading scale are and how that works. I think there's times where that hasn't been communicated well enough, and I'm glad to continue to do that, honestly, because we know at the end of the year, we know where Chris Jones is going to end up at. He's Chris Jones, right? I mean, that's not going to be a big problem.
Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, it's great to get you here and get your perspective on this, because a lot of times, like I said, we use this as a tool quite a bit when we're just talking about different games here and there or player stats, whatever. You always have a handful of people. It's like, well, PFF, it's trash. Like that doesn't even make any sense. Or, or like Mike said earlier before we actually went live, a lot of people think that grade is kind of like a elementary school grading scale where if you don't have a 90 or higher, it's not a good score. So I just think it's cool to get some perspective on that. And hopefully if you guys have any questions, make sure to throw them out there, because Dalton said he'll field them, baby. He's ready to roll. So if you got any, throw them out. But yeah, super cool to hear that, man, because it's actually helping me get a perspective on it as well.
Yeah, I love that. Dalton, I don't mean to cut you off here, but I did have one other question. Somebody had asked this earlier, and I wanted to get to it. This was on X. I posted a tweet today. And again, we like to throw out a lot of stuff, and we'll use PFF, man, because I think you guys do, like, what you do is not easy. Like you said, you guys watch these games multiple times. You're watching every position multiple times, and it may not be correct all the time, but I'm telling you, if I look at PFF and I look at the top, for pass rushers, who am I seeing? I'm seeing Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett and Chris Jones. I'm not seeing these guys at the bottom that suck. So there has to be something to it, but I do get there's nuances. But I tweeted out today that Ashton Gillotte, our rookie third round pick, our rookie third round pick, Ashton Gillotte out of U of L, he ranks 4th for tackling grade per PFF against rookie edge rushers with a minimum of 100 snaps, and his grade was a 73.6. So we already know that 60's average, so he's about 14 points higher than average. That also ranks him 23rd amongst players that have played 100 snaps in the entire NFL for tackling grade. So that was pretty awesome. We thought that was cool. And our boy down here at the bottom, at NoshRCuts, Cuts, I think that's JT, our boy JT. He says, what's a tackling grade again? So could you explain what the tackling grade means? Because sometimes people don't understand. Is that like a percentage out of 10? Do you miss a tackle? It goes down to a 90. How does that work?
Yeah, I mean the tackling grades. It's really about your number of opportunities and how often you're missing. Yeah, it's going to be most tightly correlated to your missed tackle rates and how often you get an opportunity to do that for sure. So for defensive linemen, especially, that can be a little bit volatile because they don't get as many opportunities to make tackles as, say, a linebacker or a safety. But the idea that your tackling grade is higher means that you're getting more opportunities and you're making those happen, as opposed to just missing tackles when you get those chances, right? So again, I think, be careful with small samples when it comes to especially a guy like Gillotte, who's only played 100 snaps so far in his career. But the fact that you do see that, especially for somebody, obviously draft scouts were concerned about short arms and length and things like that. But a guy who's making tackles and making plays on the ball, that's always good to have. So I think that's really what the tackling grades come down to, is just the number of opportunities, the amount of times you're executing. And then, obviously there's certain guys that miss tackles more than others. You never want those. But the fact that he's making tackles this early in his career is obviously a good thing.
Absolutely. We got
Awesome,
Romastama with a 10 bomb here. Says, Dalton ACU crew has Mike and Steve with an overall grade of 92.7. Where does PFF grade them? He's got a short sample size here.
I do. I'll tell you what. If you guys finish the night with a 92.7, that's elite stuff right there. I think for as much as we've talked about the grading scale, I think that is something that can get mentioned. Where you're right. I think that does need to get mentioned more often. Is it's not like grade school, man, where you're talking about, oh, you're aiming for 100. Now, obviously, you are aiming for 100. That would be nice. And we actually just a week or two ago,
that last week,
we got the first perfect grade in an NFL game. I got to go back and look in college, and that'll take a lot longer if we've gotten any, but the first perfect grade in PFF in the NFL history, at least, with Isaiah Rodgers for the Vikings at a 99.9. Right. That's as high as it goes. So that's really,
he played out of his mind that game anyways.
That was fun to, you score 2 touchdowns and all that stuff, force 3 turnovers and everything like that. I mean, it was well deserved, Isaiah Rodgers. But no, it just needs to be said more that I'll tell you what, if you guys get a 92.7, or if anybody does, you mentioned Noel Williams on the season with a 92.3 so far in a small sample. Look, anything over 90 is elite stuff, honestly. And I think, again, the baseline that you have to look at is a 60. Right there, a 60. If you go out on the field and you just do your job with maybe no positive or negative impact at all. Now, a 60 in school back in the day was the difference between passing and failing. That's not how it works for us, right? When you get to, say a grade where you're really having a negative impact on a game, you're really talking about getting below about 50 or so, right? And then you get into the higher grades and you're in the 60s and you're relatively productive. You're in the 70s, low to mid 70s. You're a productive starter. Then you get high 70s and into the 80s, and you really had a good game or a really good season. And then again, you get high 80s or 90s. Aaron Donald used to grade at least a 90 every year because he was just unstoppable. That's the level of player you're getting at, right? Like a quarterbacks up in the 90s. You're talking about MVP candidates and things like that. So
we have Mahomes. We know about that.
Oh, you guys know all about it. Absolutely.
Hey,
so
struggling per PFF this season.
For the most part, you guys have been used to those highest graded guys with Mahomes and Kelsey and Chris Jones and Trent McDuffie and those guys, right? You guys are used to seeing that. There's some teams, like I'm a Jets fan, we're not used to seeing that too often. So, it's just one of those things where understanding the scale and listen, us communicating what that scale is. Yeah, we got to get better at that, man. I try to do that, as often as I can and just go, because I get asked all the time, how does this work? And we're 20 years into this thing, and we get asked this question, and it's fair to answer. It's fair to ask, and it's certainly fair to answer. Absolutely.
Which is why I reached out to you to see if you'd come on, and it was awesome that you said yes. So, both sides are trying to just get answers, and that's what it is. Chris Wright, been a member for 26 months.
Let's go, baby.
He's present for duty. Put those ketchups in the chat. Dalton's probably like, what in the world are you guys doing over here? Pea on fire?
Yeah.
No, I think Penon.
There you go.
Pin.
Get it right. Pin on fire.
Not a peon. Hey, man, we talk about peens sometimes. You never know. Anything can happen.
Hey, well, here's the thing. I was actually going to ask something similar, but like, I don't know how much actual just Chiefs football you get to watch. I know you grade a lot of different things. You just said you're a Jets fan yourself. But from what Chiefs that you have watched this season, what are some of the upgrades do you think that this team actually needs to be at that elite level they're normally playing at?
So I'll start with the offensive side because that's what everyone likes to talk about, right? And you talk about, okay, what's with the struggles of Patrick Mahomes and the offensive line and then the receivers and all of that, right? And I think, it is a topic of discussion over the last year and a half of what is with this Chiefs offense. Now, for the last couple of years, it has been death by 1,000 paper cuts, right? Ever since Tyreek Hill's been traded, it's been a more conservative offense, but they've still made 3 Super Bowls in a row doing it. I think what you see right now and on the offensive side is the improvements, they're coming. And I think they started last week when Xavier Worthy got back on the field, right? As that speed threat, as a guy who can threaten safeties and back off defenses a little bit so Mahomes can work underneath. And now we saw Worthy make a couple of big plays, the end around for a 35-yard carry, the go ball when it came to beating press man, one-on-one coverage and making that play happen, right? I think, I looked at this, in our preview of this week's game when it came to the Xavier Worthy effect on Patrick Mahomes. His passing grade, his yards per attempt, and his average depth of target significantly higher over the last year plus with Worthy on the field as opposed to when he is off, right? This is something I really wanted to look at this week because of the effect it had on the offense and going out and scoring 37 points on a Ravens team that, well, at least was supposed to be good. We'll see where they're going in the next couple of weeks from there. But the Worthy effect, and then I think the layered effect of in a couple of weeks when they get Rashee Rice back, you can think about that and go, man, you can see the vision now. You can see the vision of Worthy as the deep threat, Rice as the mismatch all over the field. You can see the vision for the offense. Defensively, honestly, I know Chris Jones has been the topic of discussion, but I think as a unit, the defensive lines just got to play a little bit better, right? You're getting enough in the pass rush out of Jones and Karlaftis, but there's not a ton of depth, and I don't think that unit has played quite their best yet. I think the back seven is always going to be good. The Chiefs are one of the best coverage teams in the NFL like they have been the last couple of years. All the names in the secondary you absolutely love. I mean, Trent McDuffie's one of my favorite players in football. Shamari Connor, Jaden Hicks, now young kids like Christian Roland Wallace and Noel Williams playing well. I thought last week the Leo Chenal interception felt like a turning point in that game. He's an unbelievable football player. I'll be honest with you. Those are like 2 of my 10 best favorite players, I should say, to watch in the NFL are McDuffie and Leo Chenal. I thought he was great back when he was at Wisconsin. It was a great pickup when they drafted him. He's been terrific. So I think the D-line as a unit, not just Chris Jones and all of the controversy we've obviously caused this week, but the D-line as a unit could be a little bit better. And I think the offense, we're getting to the vision that they have for this offense. I think once Rashee Rice gets back, it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
Yeah, well, you hit the nail on the head there pretty much because that's what Mike's been preaching. We gotta have somebody on the other side of the defensive line, opposite of Chris Jones and George Karlaftis, actually getting some pressure on the quarterback and doing some damage. Hopefully, Omar Norman-Lott and Ashton Gillotte can be that in the future, but obviously they're just getting their feet wet in the NFL, so we'll see how all that goes. And, man, McDuffie and Leo Chenal, both awesome to watch. You just mentioned. Crazy we got them in the same draft with George Karlaftis, too. That's pretty wild to think about.
That's crazy, huh?
That's nuts. Hey, I just got a question here real quick.
Okay, go ahead. Okay. I'll say whatever really quick because it goes with his. You were talking about a yard higher from Mahomes' attempt when Xavier Worthy's on the field. Isn't it something like a 21-point swing on his passer rating that you guys give him when it's Worthy on the field compared to Worthy off the field, right? It's something like 81 to like 63 or something in that range.
Yeah, it was somewhere. I think 80. I think I had an 81 passing grade. I'm trying to remember the numbers I threw in our preview. Let me look at it real quick, the exact number. But it was like an 81 passing grade when Worthy was on the field. Let me see here. When he's
without him, it's something like 63-ish.
You're right. An 81 passing grade when Worthy's been on the field. And this is not just this year. This is going back to the beginning of last year when Worthy started. 81 passing grade when he's on the field and a 63 when he's off it. And I really think that just speaks to, because a 63 passing grade for a quarterback, especially Mahomes' caliber, is not great, right? You're talking about that's like low-end starter or even like high-end backup type stuff. But an 81, now you're talking talking about, okay, we got a darn good quarterback here, and you have one with Mahomes. But again, it speaks to this threat of Worthy's speed and that greatest 40-yard dash time ever, the 4.21 speed that we saw at the combine, and just defenses. It gives them something to think about. And I know when he's been out this year that Tyquan Thornton, as another really fast guy, has tried to fill that void, but he's not Xavier Worthy, right? And the fact that you can start to dictate two things, I think, really happen with Worthy on the field is, one, you dictate when defenses, when they feel like they have to get in those too high shells and really defend deep and really back them off, right? You make them respect it. And two, one thing they wanted to do late last was put him in motion a lot and give him opportunities to work back so far off. So I think there's really layers of having Worthy on the field as a threat that helps you. But no, I think that's exactly what you see, is those bigger windows when to throw into.
Absolutely. I don't care how you grade scale. If there's a 20-point gap between the two, obviously there's something to that.
There's
That's all I have
to
to say about it. Mary says, who's the most impressive rookie the Chiefs have so far, in your opinion? And also, what do you think of Kingsley Suamataia now that he's slid over to left guard? And how's he doing so far this season?
Look, I think there's a lot of options. I mean, the Chiefs always like to play. Andy Reid in the past hasn't liked to play rookies as much, but he's given these guys opportunities to play. Honestly, considering the injury and considering just what he has to battle through and coming back on such, I want to say short notice, and he missed the second half of last year. I think the first round pick, Josh Simmons, has been really solid. I think he just had his best game of the season so far against Baltimore. 67.8 pass blocking grade. Look, it's not at the top of the league, but I'll tell you, it's a hell of a lot better than the Chiefs were getting last year out of their offensive tackles, right? So I think the improvement that you were looking for from Josh Simmons and the pass protection that he gives you is big time, right? I think he stands out, and I think obviously Noel Williams, in the small sample that he's gotten at cornerback. Look, it's I've kind of almost made a joke about this on when we cover the draft, and even at times during the season. The Chiefs are just going to draft a defensive back on day 3. That's going to be really good. This is just tradition. It's almost just like clockwork that Brett Veach is going to find one of these guys. And I liked Noel Williams at Cal, his ability to play press man coverage and play to the ball. I want to say he led the nation in interceptions last year among cornerbacks, if that's right. I cover a lot of the college stuff, and some of it, the memorization kind of filters through sometimes. But no, Noel Williams, he's been really good so far. And it's just the Chiefs. You look at all the, McDuffie as a first round pick is one thing, but Jalen Watson, day 3. Josh Williams, day 3. Jaden Hicks, I think, was he a 4th rounder? I think.
Which is wild.
Yeah. Shamari Connor, day 3. Noel Williams, day 3. It's just like clockwork every year that Brett Veach is going to get at least one defensive back on day 3. That's going to be super productive, and Steve Spagnuolo just finds a way to use him. So those two guys really stands out. And as far as Kingsley goes, a 58.3 PFF grade so far. He's another one. His best game of the season just came in this Baltimore game. So sometimes, maybe things start to click, but he looks more comfortable. I think that, than I thought he would early on. He never really played that much guard before, if at all, at BYU, if I remember. So you're just looking, you have a superstar in Creed Humphrey. You got a superstar in Trey Smith. Those other 3 spots, you're looking for good enough, and that's fine. A lot of times your offensive line is as good as your weakest link. So, and if Simmons becomes a star as a first-round pick, great. And then you have Kingsley, and you have, hopefully Jawan Taylor is good enough at that right tackle spot. I know he can irritate people a little bit, but, that's what you look for. If you have 2 or 3 stars, and then you have the rest is good enough, that's a darn good offensive line.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
Janae here says, which offensive lines have the highest combined PFF grade, if you know that? And then do they correlate that with fewer sacks let up, or is it for better run success, or how does that play into the whole thing?
It's a little bit of both. It does correlate. It is going to correlate a bit when you talk about, giving up fewer sacks is obviously good. And in general, we like to think about it more as giving up less pressure, right? In general, pressure creates sacks. Sacks are, yes, they're important. Obviously, you want to bring the quarterback down, but how often are you allowing pressure? How often then are you allowing hits and sacks? So I can tell you right now, here's the 5 highest graded offensive lines I have in the league right now. Buffalo Bills, they've been fantastic, especially in the run game. Holy moly. They brought all their starters back, and they've been mauling people up front.
You're a Jets fan. So, is it fair to give the Buffalo Bills the number 1 offensive line, knowing they've been playing high school teams every other week?
I think it is because you still talk about, and I think it's different because I run into this problem covering college football because early in the season you get teams that play like FCS teams and Group of Five, like teams like that are completely overmatched, right? In the NFL, maybe you have 2 or 3 teams that are overmatched, but you're still okay. So let's say the Bills playing the Jets, you still have Quinnen Williams, you still have Will McDonald, like this.
True. 28
out of the 32 teams.
There's a lot more parity in the NFL than college.
Yeah.
Hey, it's just fun to rag on the Bills.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
Come on. I set you up to take a shot at Josh Allen and the Bills.
Believe me, I know you guys at any given chance are going to get on Josh Allen.
But he also caught a stray in the process because you used the Jets for an example.
Well, of course I did, and I can tell you in certain spots we have talent. We don't execute. I mean, and listen, you guys, I know it's a very privileged. You guys have Patrick Mahomes. We haven't had a quarterback in 60 years. I get it. I know it. But no, I mean, your top 5 right now, your top 5 offensive lines we have right now, and then there's a close race with some good ones behind it. But Buffalo, San Francisco, they're always good in the run game. Trent Williams and those guys. Denver, that's a spectacular offensive line that they have out there in Denver. I know you don't want to hear about that either, but the pass protection in Denver is great. Atlanta's got a good line every year. And then you know what? One that surprised me a little bit considering some of the guys they lost and shuffling around. The Detroit Lions, man, they just keep doing it. They're really good. They got young kids at guard at both guard spots. They had to move one of their guards from last year to center.
Center retired?
The Lions, Penei Sewell, I believe, is the highest graded offensive lineman in the league. He's been unreal this year. So, I mean, some of the usual suspects up top, but that's what it takes. The Chiefs, if you're wondering, are they at 14th? They're kind of putting it together. I don't mind that, So I think it's just one of those things where you see some of the teams with offensive line struggles, and they're the teams that are struggling. Cincinnati, Cleveland on offense, Miami, those are the teams that are struggling. So it is such an important thing to have at least a good offensive line, right? Maybe not if you don't have the best one in the league, it is what it is, but at least having a good offensive line, that's a big asset to your team.
Right.
Absolutely. That's been
Chris
the Achilles heel for us for
sure.
how long now? So
Chris Wright with a 5 bomb, baby. He says, do GMs or teams ever reach out to PFF for any kind of data or insight into players, presumably if they want to draft or trade?
So more so than reach out, say, on a specific thing, is that I think something that doesn't get said enough. We provide data to all 32 teams, to all 136 FBS teams, to another 70 or 75 FCS teams that have signed up that are clients of ours, to all of the CFL teams, to all of the UFL teams. Like they all have access. And I have talked to coaches that say, you guys are an unreal resource for us. Between, the grades are one thing, and maybe even if like Coach Spagnuolo, they don't look too much into the grades, that is fine. But our database and everything those guys get to look at, there's so many different options you have as resources within our database, whether, it's looking at how often certain guys are positively graded versus negatively, whether it's, we get all of the all 22 for NFL and college. It's easy to access. We have things that, they can filter out when is a team in this coverage, or what does this team look like in this front? And it's so much easier. I had a college coach tell me one time that for him, he was a defensive backs coach, and for his advanced scouting that normally took 2 days, we cut it down to 3 hours. So believe it or not, and it doesn't get it doesn't get said out loud very much because of the outward facing thing that we're always talking about is the grades and stuff, that they use us as a resource, man. And everybody has, we've got all 32 NFL teams in the system as clients, and they use our data to whatever use that they want to use it for. That's how they scout. A lot of times the draft scouting is a big time thing in front offices. We've got people even in NFL front offices that used to work for us. So, I mean, it is something people use. So I know the grades are obviously all the argument and everything that gets the debate, but we do a lot more than just the grades. We provide a whole lot of information. Even like Coach Spags even said that, we got a lot of information at their disposal that they can use.
Absolutely. Appreciate you, Chris Wright.
Yeah, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, we tell people, man, PFF is a tool. You don't have to love the grades, but they do a lot of good work. And like for us, man, we're big draft guys. Me and Steve always go in. We dive into the draft. I'll watch, I'll watch Trevor and I'll watch Connor do their draft stuff, man. And I'll hear some stuff and I'm like, that's interesting. I'll hear some stuff and I'll be like, I didn't agree with that when I watched my film. And then I'll also hear things about certain like FCS teams or things I cannot get all 22 film on. Like, that's a good resource. And like you're saying, it makes the draft, the process and the scouting process just so much easier. And yeah, I know that you and Trevor actually have a show where you guys get together and you guys preview NFL games coming up. So we'll get to that in just a second because I want to hear your thoughts about this Monday Night Football game coming up versus the Jags. But last week, Trevor picked the Chiefs, and somebody over here, I ain't going to name names, Dalton, you picked the Ravens. What are we doing?
Hey, you know what? Based on Alyssa, I do things based on the information I have, and I think I did pick the Ravens. I picked them. I thought one way or the other it was going to be a closer game.
Did you get your info from PFF or a competitor? Say it was a competitor.
Hey, listen, I'll be real with you. I use the information I have. I use what I see on a week-to-week basis.
Gotcha.
Sometimes I come up with my own crazy ideas. Obviously, sometimes it works, sometimes they don't, right? I mean, I get to preview a lot of these games, both NFL and college. I previewed 16 NFL games last week and 12 college games. So, I got to go back and get a count on how many I got right. I think it was about 19 or 20 out of the 28.
That's pretty good, man.
I'll take that. Usually if I get about 2/3 to 70%, I feel pretty good about it. But no, I mean, based on the previous information we had, and I think one thing I did probably undersell was the return of Xavier Worthy and the impact on the offense. And I thought this game would have been closer than it was, one way or the other, whichever team won. I think I had the Ravens 23-20. That sounds right. But no, I think the Ravens and their struggles, obviously on defense and the injuries they have, are a real problem. The Chiefs had their best day of the year running the ball, at least by design, right? Because a lot of it before that was Mahomes scrambling. And then, again, the Xavier Worthy effect on their offense is big time. And what it does, the impact that his speed has on defenses. And credit to him, man. Maybe at Arrowhead, you just should never pick against them, right? Especially in a big game because they're going to find a way to win it. But that was a big time showing. I think that was a game. The Giants game, I really believe that was a good amount about the Giants and the way they've just been struggling in the quarterback situation and Malik Neighbors getting hurt and all of that. But this game really showed me, okay, we got 2 weeks off from them at the beginning of the season. The Chiefs are back. They're back. I mean, they're still the Kansas City Chiefs.
The Chiefs is still the Chiefs.
They're still the Chiefs, right?
A lot of disappointed people out there that were like, "Oh, it's over."
Yeah, I mean, and you know what? And I really do. I respect the Chiefs in the same way. We used to do this there was a few years with the Patriots where, everybody wanted to declare the Patriots dead and Brady's old and they're done and it's all over. And then what do? They come back and make the Super Bowl again. So I think it is the same feel as the Patriots for all those years where you got Patrick Mahomes, you got Andy Reid. You probably shouldn't doubt him, right? I doubted him for a week. I'll tell you guys, this week against the Jags, I did pick him to go to Jacksonville and win this week. I'm not doubting him
I didn't
anymore.
get to see the episode this week. So,
I have seen the light. I get it. They're back. I remember, what is it? What was the year with New England? We're on to Cincinnati. They were 2-2, and everybody was freaking out about the demise.
Yeah.
I mean, I have seen the light. I get it. It was such an impressive showing against Baltimore all the way around. It really was. So, I mean, they're back, man. If you don't think they're going to, and I said this before the season when a lot of people were picking Denver, picking the Chargers to win the division. And I said, no.
They do it every offseason, man.
The Chiefs, there's something I like to use sometimes. It's until further notice. I said, until further notice, I'm taking the Chiefs, just like the Bills in the East. I'm not picking. I will pick them every year until somebody else just does it and knocks them off the perch. But 9 in a row, no. I'm still going to take them.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to dive deeper into that Jacksonville game here in just a minute. But real quick, appreciate all you guys being here tonight. Do us a favor, hit that like button if you haven't already. Also, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, what in the hell are you waiting for? Hit that subscribe button. Hang out with All Chiefed Up for the rest of the season. It's going to be a fun one. You heard Dalton. We're back, baby. It's going to be good. So make sure to do those things. We'd appreciate it. Let's get to this chat real quick, and then I want to get back to that Jacksonville game. But shout out Bout Time, been a member for 18 months now. He says, "What's up, Kingdom? Let's see, a whooping Monday." And he said, "PFF, bah darn." I'm not sure what we mean by that one. But
I don't know. We hear a lot of things in our direction. I can only hope that's good.
That's probably one of the nicest things PFF's heard this week.
Then we got our boy Zach here with the 10 bombs. It's hard to see the Chiefs losing more than 1 or 2 more games. They're balancing out, finding themselves. Smith showing a lot of promise. Mahomes just taking care of business. Defense showing up and growing. They got to have a couple of tough games coming up, Zach. I mean, they still have. This Jags game's not a gimme. And then you also have Buffalo coming up. You have the Lions coming up. I mean, before that bye week, there's still a handful of pretty tough games. And then, of course, divisional games are always tough. So I like the confidence, though, and appreciate the 10 bomb, my man.
So, Zach, what Zach you're trying to say is that the Chiefs are a grower, not a shower, huh? I don't like it.
Oh, wow.
I don't
like it.
Like, I think they're both.
Hey, as
I
long
think
as it
they're
gets
both.
the job done, that's all that matters.
Hey, man, let's talk about the Jags.
Yeah,
Can we talk
exactly.
about the Jags here? Okay, look. Like I said, I haven't got to see your show, so I'm curious. You don't have to give it all away. We'll tell everybody to go watch your show. You don't have to give it all away or anything. But in my opinion, a lot of people seen Spags play cover zero, I want to say like 13% of the time versus Lamar. He was running 2 high safety splits, just confusing Russell Wilson in week 3 and got us back on track. So a lot of people are wondering what they're going to do. Is he going to try to take away Trevor Lawrence and force Etienne to beat him? Or do you take away the run game and force Trevor Lawrence to beat you, which is kind of what they did with the Jags? And we've all been going back and forth. You know, I was thinking at first they may do the whole, you know, not stuff the run, but try to make Etienne beat you a little bit or something like that. But I think that with Etienne now, I think he's the only running back over 6 yards per carry this season.
Yeah, he's
and
going
he's on
nuts.
pace. He's on pace to have like 1,600 yards and like 13, 14 touchdowns. It's insane. So I think that they've got to shut down the run first. This has to be the big one here with me because the Chiefs defense, not the best so far. And then we've got rid of Mike Pennell in the, in camp, which was wild. Didn't make the 53-man roster. That one went over our heads. But again, I haven't got to see what you said on PFF. Let us know what you think about the matchup. Do you think the Chiefs have to take away Trevor Lawrence? Or do you think it's more important to take away the run game?
I actually think in this matchup, the run game, I think you make Trevor Lawrence beat you and throw through this secondary that after the first week has gotten it together. And once again, the Chiefs are our highest graded coverage team in the league. The back seven's been absolutely outstanding since week 1. Justin Herbert played out of his mind in that first game. He really did. He was spectacular in that. But ever since then, the Chiefs have had the best secondary in football. I will tell you this about the Jaguars. They are different than I expected them to be this year because, a lot of the thought coming into this year was, okay, Liam Cohen, he's got Trevor Lawrence. He's going to make him better. It's going to be the renaissance like it was for Baker Mayfield. You got Brian Thomas. You got Travis Hunter. You got these weapons. They're going to spread it out and gun it on the outside, right? And it's really been the opposite. Their offense has been incredibly balanced. Travis Etienne, like you mentioned, having a great year. Their offensive line, some of the veterans they've added, they've been a lot better up front. They've got the highest run blocking grades for the tight ends in the league right now. They've been spectacular at tight end. So when they put these
come downhill at you, man.
Absolutely. They come right at you with multiple tight ends. I'm going to tell you another guy, he had a big impact last week. You mentioned with the interception. Leo Chenal is going to play a big role this week. I really believe that. When you talk about the Chiefs getting back in that base defense with 3 linebackers, Nick Bolton, Drew Tranquill, and Leo Chenal, he's going to play a huge role this week. I think the Chiefs Steve Spagnuolo is going to have to do a good job matching personnel, right? When you talk about getting Leo Chenal in the game, getting maybe even a Jayden Hicks, a big-time tackler at safety in the game. Shamari Connor is obviously going to play a lot too down in the box. I'm loading up to stop the run because this Jaguars team wants to run the football with Travis Etienne. They're controlling the pace of the game right now. Their offensive line and their tight ends are blocking great. They're getting aggressive downhill in the run game. And I think, you make Trevor Lawrence beat you, make him throw into that great secondary and all those looks you give in coverage. If you can get this Jags team in 3rd and long, they're not throwing it downfield too much right now. It's more of a ball control type team. I'm making Trevor Lawrence beat me and not getting beat up on the ground by Liam Cohen and this O-line and all these run concepts.
Yeah, man. So let's flip it to the other side of the football, right? I'm not real keen on the Jags defense right now. I don't know a whole lot about them. I do know they have the ex-UK player, Joshua Hines-Allen, who's a pretty badass guy. And then, of course, they have Devin Lloyd as a linebacker. How is their secondary? And how do you think this passing attack, now that we have Xavier Worthy back, how do you think that matchup's going to go? Because I've read a few things here and there that said that they're going to have a lot of trouble stopping the Chiefs' offense. So what's your opinion on that one?
Their secondary has been a hell of a lot better than last year. I just mentioned the Chiefs as our highest graded coverage team. The Jaguars are second right behind them. They have been fantastic. And I'll tell you what, if I had a vote for assistant coach of the year right now, it might go to Jaguars defensive coordinator Anthony Campanile. He has just been outstanding with the way he's changed the mentality on this defense. Last year, one of the big problems was they ran way too much man coverage when they did not have the ability to do so. They've gone to a zone coverage heavy defense, and I will tell you something, they're as good as any team in football defending the middle of the field. You mentioned Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun. Those linebackers have been great. They've been great at safety so far. They brought in, I believe, Eric Murray they brought in at safety. Antonio Johnson's been good. In the slot, Jordan Lewis has been outstanding, the acquisition from the Cowboys. So I think what Patrick Mahomes is going to do, and now this is the part where it plays to the Chiefs' advantage, is one, having Xavier Worthy in there is going to back up those zone defenses just a little bit, right? It's going to back up the depth of those guys. But the fact that Mahomes is now, 4 years into this now without Tyreek Hill, so comfortable working underneath, taking completions, taking positive plays, that's something that's going to be big in this game. Dude, I personally would not expect Mahomes to take a lot of deep shots down the field because the Jags have been really good in zone coverage, and what you don't want to do is mess around, especially in the middle of the field, because this Jags team has gotten 13 takeaways in their first 4 games. They only had 9 all of last season. So they've been taking the football away. They've been playing more zone coverage, and I will tell you right now, this team, this secondary, this coverage unit is probably the most improved in the NFL. I think Anthony Campanile is doing an outstanding job with them. It might not seem all that flashy on Monday night if the Chiefs are going to win, but stay patient. Allow Patrick Mahomes to just complete passes. Yeah, it might happen 6-7 yards at a time like we've seen in the past, but that's what it's going to take. This Jaguars defense is a lot better than it was last year.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
You mentioned the 13 plus 13. They're actually plus 9 if it hadn't been for, the quarterback throwing 4 picks. I mean, come on. They're pretty good. I think it's going to come down to that. The Chiefs have to do it. But like you mentioned, Worthy not only can do take the top off of a defense, but he opens things up in the middle. And he makes defenses decide, do you want to play zone? Do you want to play man? What are you going to do? It can confuse them. It can get in the DC's head a little bit as well. So I'm with you. I don't know if we see as many deep shots, but I do think the Chiefs will test their luck if they get their shot. If Mahomes does see them in man-to-man, he may go ahead and take it because with Tyquan Thornton coming on, Xavier Worthy, and then, of course, like you said, the way you're sounding, if they want to set back in a cover 2 shell and they want to force Mahomes to come under the middle, this could be a Travis Kelce wake-up game. This could be, maybe getting Brashard Smith getting more snaps and stuff in the backfield, coming out of the backfield and working a little bit. So I'm with you. I think that's a very good point with the Jags and the Chiefs matchup. One thing that I found crazy last week, you said that their corners and their safeties and their secondary has been looking a lot better. Travis Hunter, the one they give up all the picks for, he only played 9 snaps on defense last week out of 66. That is wild, huh?
Yeah, I mean, the 2 weeks before that, it was much more split between offense and defense. So I do wonder if that was a game plan thing last week when it came to just, okay, we're going to just play him on offense this week. If it was something about San Francisco that they felt like, okay, we don't need him on defense as much. But the 2 weeks before that against Cincinnati and Houston, he got a lot of reps. I think do you
think it was because they felt the 49ers and McCaffrey was going to be more run heavy? Do you think that's probably what it was? They want to stack the box and they don't see Travis Hunter's being that guy, maybe?
That could be the case. I mean, that's reasonable because Hunter is not known, obviously, as an elite run defender and an elite tackler. And
but the Chiefs don't have that run game, so I wouldn't expect it this week, right?
I don't know. It's hard. I need to dig in more because I've been keeping track of Hunter's snaps and all of that. I pay a lot of attention to the rookies for one of the articles I write every week. So I'm trying to find the pattern where they like to use Hunter more because they didn't use him much in week 1 against Carolina. They used him a lot on defense in both ways against Cincy and Houston. And then last week kind of went back to, just really exclusively offense for the most part. I'm trying to find this pattern myself, to be honest with you, and it's been harder to find. But I do wonder if it is a game plan thing. But then I sit here and I go, well, Carolina, I mean, they're not great one way or the other. And if it is a run defense thing, I would think you play them a lot against Kansas City because, the Chiefs still haven't been great at running the football.
Right.
But I'm trying to find that pattern myself. I'm very intrigued to see, especially in a game of this magnitude. Now, this is the biggest game Jacksonville has played so far this year, how that works out. And maybe even if the Chiefs see him on the field, how they choose to attack him, right, as the rookie and a guy playing both ways, and see if they can wear him out if he's playing both ways. It is, again, it's the most fascinating rookie story, if not story of anything in football this year. It's just what is going on with Travis Hunter at any given So it is very intriguing, and I'm still myself trying to figure out the pattern of what the Jags are doing with that.
It's pretty random. I was a big advocate for, I think, you pick one and stick with it, buddy. Like, I think he's such a good athlete. Like, and I understand he can do both, but it's like he could be really good if he focused all of his time into one or the other. Obviously, if it was me, I'd go offense. Probably get paid a little more.
You get paid more.
Get
Corners
babied a
can
little
get
bit
paid,
more.
baby.
That's true. Yeah, well, I saw someone in the chat said that they think he should stick strictly defense. That they remind him of Dion when he was younger. So
I think you should
I
put
guess it
on
could go either way.
150 pounds and get that pass rush money. That's what I think. Let's start feeding them this week. How about that? Let's get them nice and slow.
That $47 million a year that Parsons is getting, that looks pretty good, doesn't it?
yeah, no
nice.
kidding. That's insane, actually.
The Jags defense, everybody keeps saying they look good. They look good. They look good. They've not really played a lot of good offenses, right? Like the quarterbacks they beat, Bryce Young, they had a half with Joe Burrow, half with Browning, I believe. C.J. Stroud, who's not looked very good last year or this year. Brock Purdy, not too great this year, I guess.
Did they get Brock Purdy, or was it
No, it was Mac. It was actually no. You know what? It might have been. I think it was Brock Purdy in that game.
Yeah, it was Brock.
Yeah, okay.
I think Mac just made his first start. Was it tonight, actually? But I mean, I don't think I'm not dogging none of those guys. But Patrick Mahomes is a different level than those four. So do you expect the defense to really be that good, or could this be a game where the Chiefs' offense and Patrick Mahomes could expose the hell out of them?
I think the big thing is going to be we will see on a down-to-down basis how good they are. They are better than last year. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I agree.
Because last year they were atrocious. Last year
They were a dumpster fire.
It was a train wreck. Absolutely, they are better. They are better than last year. Now, right now, let's take our grades again, as controversial as they may be.
Oh yeah,
they're our fourth highest graded defense in the NFL. Do I think right this minute they're the fourth best defense in the NFL for the whole season? Not necessarily. No, and I think the big thing is, can they succeed when they don't get all of these takeaways, right? 13 takeaways in 4 games. Because if there's a guy generally that is not going to give the football away as easy as these first 4 teams have, it's going to be Patrick Mahomes. He's not going to do that, right? So I think that really is going to be a big battle. I think maybe the biggest battle on that side of the ball is if Mahomes is great with the ball security, obviously that correlates to a lot of winning. Chiefs are probably going to win. If the Jags can find a way to get 2 or 3 takeaways, that's going to tilt the game in their favor, right? So I think without the takeaways, how good are they on a down-to-down basis? I can tell you for a fact, watching 4 games and just watching them and how fast they are and how much more fundamentally sound they are in coverage, they're better than last year. I don't know yet that they're top 5.
Right.
They've played like it the first few weeks. But this is a real test. And obviously, now, can you judge everything about a defense by the way they play Patrick Mahomes? Absolutely not.
Exactly.
So it's probably going to be somewhere between those 2 outcomes, right? But I think it's a great test for them, especially at home in a Monday night game, what this Jags defense is going to look like, especially against a quarterback who's not just going to hand him the football like the last few have.
Right. Of course, the turnover battle is always huge. And I think it's a good one to look at in this game because of all the stuff you mentioned. And also, the Chiefs themselves have kind of made it a focal point to, hey, we've got to start turning the ball over more because the last few years, that's just been non-existent with our defense. But you see them making strides to try to get players that make the play on the ball, like a Noah Williams or someone of that nature, to try to get that turned around a little bit. Because, I mean, Noah Williams reminds me a little bit of young Marcus Peters, who was absolutely insane with the Chiefs. Just a big ball hawk, big risk-reward guy. He might be a little more physical than Marcus, but that's what I thought about. Macaberry here, our friend from Down Under, says, I love the content. People trash talk PFF. Good to have them come in here and explain how it works. And that's my sentiments exactly. This is a pretty cool deal here. So glad you came in, Dalton, because I think a lot of people want the explanation that you've been given, right? Because they don't really know. I think that's why people hate on it, because they just don't understand it.
I think that's what Dalton kind of alluded to. It's been, 20 years you said, and it's not been a very well-explained thing. Is Chris Collinsworth, does he have something to do with PFF? Spags mentioned that, right?
Oh, he owns the place. I think it was.
Did he come up with the idea, or did he just buy it out?
No, he bought it. The original founder, Neil Hornsby, actually, that was created in the UK. Actually, he retired a couple of years ago, but he started it out in the UK as basically a startup, like you would think about a tech startup back in.
Have you ever got to talk to Chris Collinsworth?
Oh yeah. I just saw him. I just saw him last week. Actually, he was
Well, the
in the
next
building.
time you see him, tell him to lay off Juwan Taylor's
Yeah, I was getting
ass.
ready. I was getting ready to say. So that's what he does in his spare time.
That's what he done to us. Okay,
Yeah, I was
3
getting ready
years
to
of
say.
Juwan Taylor hell.
So what he does
Believe-
in his spare time, besides just pick on Juwan Taylor, he runs PFF, huh?
Believe me, I get to see Chris every once in a while around the building and stuff. In between all the games, he's I mean, this time of year is traveling constantly and all that. I get to see him once in a while, and the one thing he tells me is he goes, "Listen, there's a whole lot of noise in my direction, and I just have to tune it out on any given week." Because he goes, "I know I'll say one thing a week that gets people riled up, so get used to it, man. If you're going to have this platform, it's going to be a thing that people are going to. The wolves are always out for you, especially in football, especially in the NFL." So
I can hear him now, man. I can hear him now walking into the room. He'll say, "Now here's a guy, Dalton Wasserman, that went on to ACU and told everybody about PFF."
He's done it once or twice to me. Trust me, he does it to everybody. But no, I mean, he's told me that. He's like, the wolves are always out. He goes, I don't even this long into it. He's been broadcasting for what, close to, I don't know, 35 years now or whatever it is, man. And he's just like, believe me, the criticism just comes with the territory. So no, I mean, it's just one of those things where you go, but boy, people, and listen to your guys' credit too. You guys will do it. Everybody's going to defend their team, man. And I'll tell you what, maybe even more so than the NFL covering football the last couple of years. Boy, people get defensive about their college teams too. It's really it's full of.
Hey man, college is like sometimes it's like state pride, it's school pride, it's crazy.
Oh, it is. If I say anything about anybody's college team, I know what's coming my direction, but man, I just try to say things as honestly as I can. I'm not trying to offend anybody. We're not. And listen, as a group, we're not trying to offend anybody. I know sometimes it comes across like that, but again, that's why it's great to have talks like this because we can just lay it out there. And I think, especially again in the case of the Chiefs, I really don't think Coach Spags said anything wrong or anything like that. No, he's speaking his mind, and like there's certain things you don't have to like everything we do. I think there's sometimes I'll look at a game and I'll go, oh, that's a little weird, and then I'll go back and watch it again and try to figure it out, man. I think that's the part is football and evaluating it is so subjective. It's not like baseball where a pitcher throws to a hitter and this happens. Baseball is so many independent variables. Football is not like that. You're within the context of 21 other guys around you at all times.
For sure. And just to mention, Mike did cut that clip a little bit short. Spags did have some nice things to say about PFF there at the end of it.
I couldn't show that part.
No, you had to cut it off. I
go along with the narrative.
You guys have to find a way to win the argument and the narrative. So I know
Mike's trying to get a job at CNN, so he's trying to see how he can clip stuff up.
It was getting a little long. Come on now. No.
I knew this was going to be a little slanted eventually. Jeez.
No,
all right,
dude.
Hey, let's get to one more question real quick
go ahead,
before
man.
we let you go, Dalton. Once again, appreciate your time, bud. But Denny here, he says, what's the hardest position to grade and what's the easiest in your opinion?
Good question.
I'll tell you, we got a lot of guys with different specialties, right? And I usually leaned more towards the passing game. I would say the hardest thing to do in general is, especially live when you're doing the live broadcast cut, because we're watching, when we do it the first time through, we're doing it as the game is going on and we're using the TV copy. So when you don't have that end zone shot, I would say the run game and run defense is the hardest part because you don't get a perfect angle from the sideline shot of sometimes who's in what gap. And sometimes there's even little variances in the run concepts that, can change the assignments a little bit, right? Just like Coach Spags was talking about, sometimes we don't know the exact assignments. And those are often times when things will get changed the most when we go in that second cut and we go in with the all 22 and then we have the end zone cam and we can tweak some things as we go the second time around. With NFL, we're up all night, man, and the final grades after the all 22's got to be in by noon on Monday morning. So it's a crunch to get all those in. But I would say from that angle and what we do live, and I did it live, like I said, for 3 years, it's probably the run game and run defense because there's so many little things and angles and spacing and D-line techniques that, maybe you can just be off by just this much seeing it from that angle, and then it's got to get fixed in the all 22.
Yeah, I would agree with that because there was some stuff we had earlier this year where the Chiefs run a lot of zone concepts. And like you said, I don't know how the Chiefs actually like do that on their offensive line. Like if they've got a defensive tackle shaded, out to like a 5 gap or something, does the guard get that, or does that become, say, the center on like an inside zone left? You know what I'm trying to say? So it's weird. You don't really know how to do that. So I guess that does go with what Spags said. You don't know it, but you would think that maybe you guys could just reach out to every team and get those zone concepts. You'd be like, look, you're paying me. Let me know what those zone concepts are.
Yeah, well, coaching staffs are going to be coy about that too, because they don't want to give away the secrets, right? So it's one of those things. And look, and when you're doing the same teams, and our graders and especially the reviewers are doing the same teams over and over and over, and they get familiar with the concepts and with the coaches, even without talking to them, say on a week-to-week basis, you figure out tendencies, right? Of okay, this is it can happen with run concepts, it can happen in coverages. We even have discussions a lot of times about, this team likes to run this coverage a certain way. This is the way they like to run it. So you do, after, especially when you get to this point of the year now, when you get 4, 5, 6, 7 weeks into it, and you get those tendencies, right? They run their cover 3 just a little bit different. I've even heard from, I've even heard and had players DM me just to go, hey, we play this coverage a certain way. So, just when you guys are going over it, just keep this in mind. And I don't do it. I don't do it anymore myself, because I'm on the content side now doing the podcast and all that. But I'll pass that along to our reviewers, man. I'll tell you, our data team, the whole thing is hundreds plural of guys, like especially on a college Saturday, like between 600 and 700 guys working on 110, 115 games.
Could have been crazy.
Not just because I did it myself and I was a part of that team for 4 years, but man, I got the utmost respect for the grind on Saturdays and Sundays, Mondays, Thursdays. Like tonight, there's a game on. The grind that those guys go through, I've done it myself 4 times through, and they're some of the smartest people I've ever met, man. I'm telling you right now, former players, former coaches, our analysts, who some guys have been around for 10, 12, 15 years doing this. I got the utmost respect for those guys. They're really the backbone of everything we do. So it's just one of those things that they watch a lot of ball. You got to be an absolute sicko to watch as much ball as we do, especially in college. I've done it, man. I've worked college Saturdays, 14, 15, 16 hours working 3 or 4 different games. It's a grind. I won't tell you it's not, but we have so many hands on it. And then again, we watch everything twice through just to make sure it's right.
Lots of coffee on those days, right? So gotta keep you going.
I'm not a coffee guy. Usually it's like a Mountain Dew or something like something along those lines. Actually, somehow I'm 31. I still don't drink coffee, which is weird, especially being from New York originally, where coffee's like a way of life. But yeah, just never got around to that. Don't do it.
About time with the 5 bomb says donating on behalf of Julie and her legendary comment. We missed it apparently, so you're gonna have to let us know what the legendary comment was.
Yeah, I'm confused.
And then I have one more question. I lied to you. There's one more question I want you to handle, and then I want to give you the floor and let everybody know where they can go watch all the social media stuff you're doing now, Dalton. And it's Nikki here, and I think people wanted to get the answer to this one. Why does a QB who takes more risks get scored lower than one who just goes for easy check down throws?
Yeah, the big thing is, and this is one of our things, and sometimes it gets interpreted like, well, this guy didn't throw a lot of interceptions, so he must be great. But one of our most famous stats is something called turnover-worthy plays, right? How often are you putting the ball in danger? And let's be real, turnovers are very often the biggest correlation. They have the biggest correlation to winning and losing any individual game, right? Ball security is so big. So it's great to grade guys on the positive side who make so many great plays, right? Those great thread the needle throws, or Mahomes or Josh Allen scrambling outside the pocket for a 30-yard run and all of that. But there is an element to playing quarterback, especially in the NFL, that is about risk aversion, right? If a guy is going out there and putting the ball in danger 4, 5, 6 times a game, he could cost you the game. And so, sometimes he does, right? I look at, I think about certain quarterbacks. Jameis Winston is actually the best example of this, because he would have years back in the day with Tampa Bay. He would lead the league in positively graded throws, but also lead the league in negatively graded throws and turnover-worthy plays and things of that nature. And think about the year, 30 touchdowns and 30 interceptions, right? He was the first ever to do that. That's the kind of thing where you go, hey, what would you say to Jameis in that scenario? Hey, we need you to throw 50 touchdowns if you're going to throw 30 interceptions. No, you're not going to do that. You're going to say, hey, man, we need that second number cut at least in half if we're going to win more ball games. There's a reason we're going to get Tom Brady to replace you, right? So ball security is so so big. And when you elevate that floor at the level that Mahomes or Josh Allen's done it now, he's gotten really good at avoiding turnovers now. Joe Burrow's been elite at it for years. When you don't give the defense opportunities to take the football away, you keep your offense on the field, you get positive plays, you score points. I think that's why those guys, those gunslingers that put the ball in danger, they get graded lower, because it does have such a correlation. Turnovers and the turnover battle, it does have such a correlation to winning and losing football games.
Absolutely. Brandon with the 10 bomb says, thank you, Dalton, for coming to the show. Floor is yours, buddy. Let everybody know where to find you at and what you're doing these days.
Absolutely. Listen, all our great, if you want to access to all the grades and see and even criticize everything that we do, a PFF Plus subscription, you can get that with a code, actually 25% off right now. You can get that with PFF NFL Show 25. That's the code for 25% off a subscription to that. If you want to see that on the website, we've got all our great written content from, I think, a couple dozen analysts we have now writing articles on the website, including myself, the PFF NFL Show. You guys mentioned myself and Trevor Sikkema on YouTube. Mondays and Wednesdays we're on with previews and reviews of games. And any of you college football fans out there, I know there's some KU fans. I know there's some K-State fans out there. I know there's probably, I know it's the other side of the state, sort of. There's probably some Missouri fans floating around there too. The Missouri Tigers look good. The PFF College Football Show on YouTube as well. Myself and Max Chadwick previewing, reviewing games. Actually, on that channel tomorrow at noon, we will have our first mock draft of the season, so that'll be some fun as well. We put put some bonus stuff up there on there as well. I'm sure that'll ruffle some feathers, whoever we take in the top 10 as well. But PFF NFL Show, PFF College Football Show on YouTube. Like and subscribe to those. We'll have some fun.
Heck yeah, baby.
Awesome, man. We appreciate that.
Hey, Pop's in the house. This is our old man right here, baby. 5 gifted memberships. Let's go.
Pops, look at that. Pops a
showed
big
up
fan
right
of PFF.
Oh, he's always on there. Don't let him lie to you. He checks
does.
it out.
He uses the mock draft simulator from PFF.
Hey, if y'all got one of those memberships, thank the old man in the chat. But once again, appreciate you, Dalton. Thanks for coming on here, clearing some things up. I thought it was cool to get the other end of it, right? Because all of Chiefs Kingdom got to see Spags talking about it today, and I think PFF unfairly gets viewed in a unfair light, I should say, sometimes. So it's good to get you on here and get your side of it.
No, absolutely. I appreciate, honestly, the platform to just come on here and talk about it. I think it's something at a basic level. I know we've been around a long time, but I think it's something that in the past hasn't often gotten communicated enough to go, okay, hey, this is what this is, and this is the reason for it. I feel like that is part of my job to do that, is to just, it's great to have the numbers and it's great to, to go through the grind and be the smart guys, but you have to be able to communicate it. I feel like that's what my job is, and I really appreciate you guys having me on, especially in a week like this where clearly we've caused a lot of controversy again.
Hey, it is what it is. If there wasn't controversy, we wouldn't even have a channel. We're the kings of controversy over here. The Chiefs.
We got to keep it interesting,
Yeah.
Oh, the kingdom of controversy. See that? There you go. Maybe that's maybe that's what you. Maybe
it's a new segment right there, man.
See that right there? That'll work.
Dalton, come back every week. The Kingdom controversy. You can explain all of our PFF grades. Dude, everybody was the Chiefs. Every player has got to be 90 or above.
This is why Jawan Taylor had a 40 grade and 8 penalties.
Hey, I'll just tell you week to week. I don't do it anymore, man. I go on the shows and I talk. We got a lot of great analysts and even a lot of them behind the scenes that are better than me. Believe me, they've been doing it a lot longer. I just try to interpret what they're doing, and I'll tell you what, if I can give you the best angle I can, I'll do it.
Right. Okay, man. Before you go, I've got Brett Veach on speed dial over here. If you guys want to get rid of Breece Hall, let us know.
I mean, listen,
we could take him.
We'll take him off your hands.
I know we're a long-term project, man. I know it. Hey, Breece, I'll tell you what, Breece having a hell of a year, man. Behind that offensive line we have.
You think they would trade him?
I think it's possible. I mean, we're not going to the playoffs. We're not going to the playoffs, so it's like,
right. What do you think it would take to get him? 4th rounder? Is that too low?
Maybe they might. I don't know. They might ask. Maybe they'll ask for a 3rd. He's having a good year now. Braylon Allen's out for a while, so he's really going to get a lot of touches now. So
that might have took the steam out of that one, huh?
I think the speed that he gives you and the explosiveness, because I like Pacheco, I like Kareem Hunt, but they just need one more element of speed, and that's been the talk about putting Rashard Smith in there. I really like Rashard Smith a lot. I do not think he should have fallen to the 2nd round. When he went to Kansas City, I was like, oh man, of course they did. Of course they stole this.
I thought he was like a 5th rounder at the latest.
I would have taken. I would have taken him in round 4. I loved him at SMU. Absolutely loved him. I'm telling you, he's a good football player. But no, if you guys got Brees, I'd be like, yeah, that's fair. Look what we did, and everyone would go, oh, look what the Jets are doing. They're just look at this. They're just somebody. The script writers had the Jets trading Brees Hall to the Chiefs.
Right.
It'd be a whole thing. We would catch more flack for it than you guys would, honestly.
That 100%, man. Okay, brother, we appreciate you. We appreciate your time. We respect your time, so you can get off here, man. Go do whatever. Have a good night, brother, and we'll talk to you later.
Appreciate it, guys. Let's do it again sometime.
Heck
No
yeah,
problem,
man.
brother.
All right. Heck yeah, baby. Give it up in the chat for Dalton. That was pretty cool, right? I thought that was some good info. I learned a lot.
Yeah, I think we all learned a little bit. We've learned that maybe PFF are humans and we should be nice to them.
No, they're still going to be called trash all the time. But,
everybody's
we had to give
gonna
them,
be mean, right?
we had to give them a little platform to get on here and kind of explain it. I thought it was cool. But, yeah, how you guys doing tonight? How's everybody doing? Appreciate y'all being here. Appreciate the questions and all that. And it's always fun to get a little bit different perspective. Also, I thought he had some good information on the Chiefs. It's always cool to see it from the outside looking in, seeing what other people think, because sometimes we get a little blinded by our own BS and our own echo chamber. Right. So it's nice to be able to see what different people have to say about it. But I can imagine the work that goes in to PFF. I couldn't be a guy that sit and graded every play of every game like that.
No, I couldn't have the focus to sit there and watch North Dakota State play South Dakota State.
Dude,
And then
that's some commitment right there.
Hey, they have to watch that 22 times. He didn't answer what the easiest. He didn't answer. He answered what the toughest position was to grade. But what do you think the easiest one was?
Probably quarterback, honestly.
No, I think it's kicker. You miss it or you don't.
Yeah. Well,
Right?
is that a thing?
Yeah, they grade kickers.
Yeah.
I wonder though. Do you have to go in depth about was the hold good? Was the snap good? What was the wind blowing? Do they get that crazy with it? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Julia, Mike said she loved the short you made about Chris Jones.
Thank you.
Heck yeah.
Thank
I thought it was
you.
pretty good too. Caught me off guard. I was like, look at Mike. Look at Mike being a good man.
I just want to tell the story of Chris because our content will go YouTube, maybe YouTube suppresses or whatever, but our content will go wild on other platforms. So I like to get the story out. Anything that can change the narrative of the way the Chiefs, because the Chiefs have become all because of winning, we've become a villain and hated for no reason. And our guys don't deserve that. We've got a lot of really good dudes on this team. I mean, look, Kelsey's hated just because nobody likes the fact he dates Taylor Swift. I mean, that's so stupid. Let's think about that. Or Mahomes. Mahomes has 3 kids, a wife. He's a good dude for the community. And he gets hated because he beats their team. It's the way of the world. But so I try to put Chris in a positive light and tell the story.
Tell him about it, Mike. Yeah, man. Well, we appreciate you guys once again for being here tonight and all the questions and everything. It was pretty awesome. We worked on a video today that'll be coming out on Saturday. We had the COO of Zarda BBQ on. He was on talking about football, telling some old Chiefs stories, talking about Joe Montana even. Got Joe Montana in there, buddy. He's going way back. It was a really good conversation.
Dude,
it was a lot of fun. Obviously, he tells you a little bit about what's going on as far as Zarda and how they're helping in the community and everything like that. But most of it was just straight football talk and old stories, man. So it's going to be
we got a little wager going for the game on Monday night. Me and Steve picked the game, and so did he. Terry picked the game as well. But there's a little incentive. You have to watch the video. Whoever gets it right gets a little incentive Zarda's going to send out our way. So it's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, for sure. It's going to be a good one, so be on the lookout for that Saturday. The old man been a member for 23 months now. Let's freaking go, Pops. Says, love this great show. Glad you liked it, old man. I thought it was something different, and I thought it was valuable. That was some valuable information today. We like to be slap nuts sometimes and just get on here and talk trash and be goofy and have fun. And there's a time and a place for it, but it's nice to get some real information.
Yeah, lots of valuable info today, I think. And are we the only ones that have reached out to PFF and got their side of the story here?
Probably.
Nobody else has, and nobody will care that we did it.
Well, hey, if you guys happen to be on social media and you see someone talking about PFF or this situation with Spags, shoot the link. Let them hear the other side of the story.
That's the way to go, man.
That way they can get educated about it and actually know what they're talking about. But yeah, guys, we're going to get out of here for the night. You guys are freaking awesome. Thanks so much for everything. And we'll be back with that video on Saturday. And of course, we have the Monday night game. So we'll see what we can do about doing a pregame and maybe a postgame on Monday night as well. And we'll see how all that goes. But Appreciate you, and we'll see you next time. Go Chiefs.
Get wild.